Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megsy, and today I am finally filming a video after having taken a little break from booktube. To be honest, it wasn't intentional. I just felt like I have been in a bit of a creative rut with making content, and I also have kind of been in a bit of a rut in terms of my reading. But since we are approaching fall, I wanted to make a video for an end of summer book tag, and there are a couple that are floating around on booktube, but I did find one that was actually on someone's blog, so I will link the original creator down below. But it has a series of 7 questions that I want to answer as we slowly approach the end of summer and get into the best season of the year, which is fall. The first question is, what was your favorite book this summer? So if we think about everything I've read throughout June, July, and August, I would say my favorite book, believe it or not, was Good Girl by Aria Aber. This was a recent release that came out this year, and it follows an Afghan German girl living in Berlin in the early 2000s as she comes of age, trying to find her own voice and rebelling against her more conservative family and escaping into the Berlin nightlife with partying and drug use and engaging in a relationship with a much older man. Now, if that sounds too much like a Lana Del Rey song, I know that the plot summary sounds a bit overdone, I think, but I really enjoyed this because I think that the writing really saved the book. And I think that even though Aria Aber is a poet, I don't think that her writing was too overtly flowery. I was definitely captured by the story of this young woman, Neela, and I finished this in a couple days. And I think that her observations around the society and her own cultural identity were really astute and very relevant, more so now than ever. And I can understand why this book was shortlisted for the Women's Prize in Fiction, but definitely that was a standout for me, and I was pleasantly surprised. The second question is, what was your least favorite book this summer? Well, one of them, unfortunately, I mentioned in my Women in Translation video, and it was called The Tent, which I don't think that the book was... I think there was something lost in translation, and I think that was the biggest issue with the book. I will review this book in my August wrap-up. I haven't talked about it before on my channel. I do kind of regret mentioning it in my Women in Translation video. I just hadn't read it yet. But it was a novella, and I just really didn't understand half of what was going on in that. Another one I unfortunately did not enjoy that was actually a big letdown was Universality by Natasha Brown. I felt like this book had so much potential, and I was really into the beginning of the story with the sort of Vice-esque investigative journalism piece, but then I feel like the story just kind of went off the rails and I couldn't really follow it. And I could follow it, I just didn't really understand what the point of it was. That was unfortunately a disappointment because that was like one of those books that I wanted to like. Do you know what I mean? You read a book, you want to like it, you think it has all the right ingredients, but it just doesn't like mesh well for you. That was a major disappointment. Question number 3 is, what book do you wish you read this summer? I honestly can't answer this question because I was just at the beach briefly, and I don't know if I'm necessarily like a kind of beach reader. I wish I could read like light, fluffy reads. Like decades ago, I read Sue Monk Kidd's The Mermaid Chair, which is, this was a long, long time ago. But that, I feel, is like the quintessential kind of beach read because I don't remember anything about what the book is about, but I do know it takes place at the ocean. And I wish I could have read something like that. I wish that like I have that on my TBR. Just something that's like kind of light, not necessarily like chick lit, but is maybe in that horrible category name of women's fiction. But I don't have anything like that on my TBR, and so I didn't read anything like that, but I kind of wish I did. I am going back to the beach again 2 weeks from now, so there's still time because it's technically still summer. Question number 4. What was your favorite classic you read this summer? Well, technically you only read one classic this summer, and that would be Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabatan Ali. I reviewed this in my July wrap-up, and I thought it was pretty decent. I did enjoy it. I do like to read older novels sometimes, even though like a lot of what I read on this channel is more contemporary fiction. I do think it's good to read novels that are from quite a bit ago, because I think that the way authors write and the cadence in which they have characters speak, it's so different, and it does kind of require you to use your brain in a different way when you're absorbing the story that is much more different than like just reading modern writing, right? So this was the only classic I read, but I did enjoy it. Question 5. Did you stray into a different genre and pick up a new and exciting book? I would say in terms of different genre, the closest I can think of is The Witches of El Paso by Jaramillo. What is his last name? Louis Jaramillo. Yes, The Witches of El Paso. This is, I think it goes a little bit beyond magical realism. There is a time-traveling element and witchcraft, obviously. So I think it is definitely more into a bit of the fantastical realm than what I read. And it is actually fairly new because it was released last October. I will also do a review on this in my August wrap-up. It was okay. I thought it was decent, but it wasn't really what I was expecting. Question number 6. What was your favorite movie adaptation this summer? I haven't seen any movie adaptations. I think the last time I went to the movies was in December of last year. But I do feel like there were some books I read that could have been movie adaptations, and one was James by Percival Everett. I don't know if that will be turned into a movie, because I do know Percival Everett's work has been adapted into film, such as American Fiction, which was based on his book Erasure. I could totally see James being directed by Quentin Tarantino, although I don't know if Quentin Tarantino is the right person to direct a story like that. Maybe Spike Lee. But I haven't read any movie adaptation books. But I do think that, like I said, of all the ones I did read this summer, James probably is the most qualifying to be a movie adaptation. And question number 7. What was your favorite new book release? So I am unfortunately going to reiterate another book I said before, but I would have to say Good Girl by Aria Aber. Now, this was not released in the summer. It was released, as I said, in March. I primarily read a lot of my books from the library nowadays, so I haven't really read any like recent summer releases yet. I haven't gotten my hands on them yet because there's always like a significant wait list. But another book that it wasn't released in the summer, I don't know when this came out actually, in the United States, because it's a translation, but I'm reading this currently, and it is called The Other Profile by Irene Graziosi. This is an Italian translation, and I think that I am finally going to break my sort of reading slump. I mean, I have only read 58 pages so far, but I really like this. It is definitely sort of like the unhinged woman trope, depressed, disgruntled, angsty woman moving, and it does remind me a lot of Ottessa Moshfegh, but like in a good way. I think this was released, I don't know, I just saw it in a bookstore down when I was on vacation, and I picked it up. This edition did come out this year, though, this paperback edition in the American English translation. So I am enjoying this thus far. Hopefully it will be a 4-star read. And yeah, that is it for my end of summer tag. I will have more videos coming soon. I want to kind of get back into track of making videos. I just have been kind of in a rut and not quite sure what to make videos about other than book reviews. So yeah, if you have any comments, suggestions, if you've read any books, let me know of the books that I have mentioned, or you have any favorite summer reads, please let me know. Drop them in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.